it's Dr. Christy Ennis. Today's video is for you if you want or need to strengthen that hip, right? Whether it's because of an injury or you want to get stronger or feel better or protect your back. But all the videos you've seen out there look like they are just way too much to start with. And there's a lot that's out there. So we're going to go over exercises today that you can do no matter what level you're starting at. And I have been way at this level many times. So these are exercises that I've come up with to do for myself and that I've given lots of my patients who are either starting over or just starting out for the first time. You need no equipment. There will be exercises, except for a chair, there will be some exercises lying down, which is what we'll start with, followed by some seated exercises, and then we will work into some standing exercises. You can choose whichever exercises feel the best for your body. And also know that it is okay if you can only start with 3 or 4 repetitions and you need to break them up throughout the day. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Keeping good form is key point number 1. And number 2 is just making sure your body can move and feel comfortable enough, not just that day, but the next day too, right? We don't want anybody to be in agony. Everybody should feel good after doing these exercises. So we will get started lying down. Feel free to do these either on a mat if that's comfortable for you, or if it's difficult or uncomfortable to get on the ground, you can do these right in your bed. Our first exercises you can do either on a mat, or don't forget it's totally okay to do these on the bed if that's more comfortable for you. The very first one is going to be working the muscles in the front of the leg, those quad muscles, so part of the knee too, and those hip flexor muscles. So we're going to start by the leg that's working is going to straighten out. The other leg stays bent to help protect the spine. We want to make sure we're not arching and doing anything funky up there either. So you're going to start by pressing your kneecap down towards the ground or towards the bed if you're on the bed to help engage those quadricep muscles. Toes are flexed up, and then keeping all of that engaged, you're going to lift that leg up. So notice I'm not even lifting to the other leg knee height, right? It's just a little bit off the ground so that we're not using other muscles, right? We're really focusing on the muscles in the front of that thigh. Goal is eventually to get to 10 repetitions, but remember, it's okay to just start with a few. You want to make sure you're able to keep that quad engaged the whole time, so don't let that knee bend. And if it is shaky or hurting, then you just back off a little bit. And of course, both sides. The second exercise is a bridge. So this is going to work more of the back side of the leg and hip, so our glutes, our hamstrings. And instead of a traditional bridge where the feet are facing forward, we're going to take the heels, as long as it feels okay, and bring the heels together and the toes open, because a lot of times, I certainly know I'm a culprit of this, my hip flexors are really tight. So this helps open up the hip and actually engage those glutes a little bit more. So hands stay by the side, you do a little bit of a pelvic tuck, think about squeeze into those bunsies, and then you're going to lift up as high as you can without arching into the spine, including the rib cage, right? Just pause for a second or two, and then with control, come on back down. You can always reset that pelvis position if you need to, and same idea with number of repetitions. Now, if for any reason that is uncomfortable, you of course can go with those legs straight ahead, but sometimes you don't get quite as high of a lift if you do have some tight muscles. Our next 2 exercises are going to be lying on your side, again in the bed or on the ground. If you do have any hip discomfort, sometimes sliding another blanket or a pillow underneath the side that you're lying on can help make that a little bit more comfortable. And I have certainly done that many times. So key with this, or both of these really, is getting in the right starting position. So I'm lying on my side. If I look down at my legs, I should see my pretty purple toenails, some of my foot, but not a whole lot of my leg. If my leg is too far forward, I'm going to see all of those leg muscles and then really start to use the front leg muscles versus the side, that glute medius and glute minimus that we really want to focus on with this one. So little lift of your torso away from whatever surface you're lying on. You don't have to be arched, but no collapsing or smushing your cupcake. If you guys follow me, you've heard that one before. And then I tend to bend the bottom leg because for me, it is more comfortable and it gives me a target for this top leg. So I'm going to aim towards that heel so I make sure that I'm not bringing that leg too far forward. Turning down, those toes down towards the floor a little bit, puts the emphasis right back on those hip muscles that we want, that glute med and minimus.
If that bothered your hip for any reason, of course you can keep that foot straight forward, but just realize that just that little tweak can make the angle and the emphasis, right, a little bit better. So from here, right, I'm aiming towards that heel. I'm not collapsing. I'm keeping this leg relatively straight. If you need a tiny bend in there, you can. If you have any knee discomfort and you're bringing this leg back down, you can't even keep a pillow in between your legs. That tends to help a little bit too. And of course, you're making sure that you're doing both sides. If you do have some weakness on both sides, most of us tend to have that happen. And then from here, you're going to keep that same position. I'm going to bend this top knee. Notice I'm not scooting my hips forward. That's key. A lot of times I'll see people do this. Oh, we want to stay in that nice, good alignment. Those feet are going to stay together, and then you're just lifting that top knee as high as you can without rotating backwards, right? So we can make it look like we get a lot more motion if I do this kind of thing, but now I'm not engaging in that same way, and trust me, you will feel that, right? So staying right here, and you can do both of these exercises on the same side before you flip right over and get the other side with the same repetitions.
Grab your sturdy chair for the next set of exercises. So these will work some of the same muscles, so you can pay attention to which ones feel better to you, because we all have different positions that feel better to us. Some days lying is better for me, and some days sitting is better for me, and some days standing. That's why we got the whole variety here today. So this first exercise, if you need to support your back, you can feel free to sit back against the backrest. However, if you want to get your abs a little bit more work, sit away from that backrest, think about gently pulling in that belly button and keeping this part of your torso nice and straight as we start to move. First exercise works those hip flexors. So without holding on, if you can, you're going to go raise one knee up and then that other knee. Notice, right? Nothing else is moving but these, well, lower leg down. I guess the whole leg's really moving. So again, resting if you need to, but you don't have to. To make this more difficult, you can use a band above the knees, and that will get you a little bit more resistance. So alternating usually is a little bit easier, especially if you have soreness on one side. So you can do back and forth. If it feels better for you to just do one side at a time, you go for it. You do you for sure. Next exercise, if you have a pillow handy or a sweatshirt or anything that rolls, you can use this. You could always use your hands, and I'll show you that too. But we're going to work those adductors or inner thighs literally by squeezing into the pillow. So I'm sitting up nice and tall still, and then I'm just gonna squeeze those legs while breathing, holding for a few seconds, and let go. Don't let go so much so that the pillow drops, right? But it's that squeeze in, hold a few seconds, and let it go. If you don't have any of that handy, make two fists, put those right in between those legs, and then you just squeeze right into those hands. So nothing fancy needed at all for that one. If you can do this, but you can't do a contraction and hold, that's okay. Just come back and forth to start with. And for our last exercise, we're gonna straighten out the leg. So we're actually getting hip flexor a little bit here and those outer thigh muscles. And I'm actually just going to, you might need to start just like this by sliding across that floor, right? So it's a little bit easier than if you were to go and lift it and bringing out. This one is not terrible, but it can be too much to start with. So again, listen to your body and see which one feels the best for you. This one is way easier to do though on one side at a time versus alternating one leg and then the other. Trust me, that's a whole nother workout. So those are your seated exercises. The last group of exercises are standing. Now my chair was not sturdy enough to hold on to for balance purposes, so I'm going over to this lovely bar that was installed for me. You guys probably don't have this at home, but find something sturdy to hold on to. If you're ready to work your balance even more, you can go no hands, but be very careful about that. So the first exercise, and you can do this right out on counter or even use the top of the couch, it's gonna be just a little squat. So I'm shifting my hips back. I'm hanging on here for some balance, but I'm not gripping for dear life, right? So it's just making sure that you're able to sit that weight back into your heels to really use all of these big leg muscles and making sure you're not using that trunk. Right? So from here, again, hanging on if need be, I'm gonna take this leg, I'm gonna scoot it back just a touch so that I really make sure I'm using these glute medius and minimus muscles, and then it's out to the side. So the standing leg has a little bit of a bend in it, and I'll show you that. It's just not locked, in other words, but because of standing on one leg, the leg that's right? Moving is working, but the leg that's standing and supporting you is also having to work those hip muscles to help keep you stabilized. So that's really key here. If you are not holding on, you want to make sure that you are not doing this, right? You're going to shift your weight because we're clearly standing on one leg, but if you're leaning, these muscles aren't doing their job either. So it's okay to hang on to start. The next one, and you can do these all on one side before switching if you would like, or give it a break if need be, is going to be coming straight back. So you may need to have just a tiny bend there so that you're not scuffing the floor. For this one, I am shifting my weight forward slightly. So again, I can kind of clear that floor. And then I'm really squeezing into that butt cheek on the leg that's moving to really engage that. Now, don't go too far, because if you do, you're gonna arch, which maybe would feel good on your back, but it's not the best idea for the back in the whole wide world to do that. You only have 20 degrees of hip extension, so it's not gonna go real far, and totally okay. And lastly, we're gonna get one then for those inner thigh or adductor muscles. Hanging on if need be, I am gonna have a little bit more of a bend here, just because I feel like this engages a little bit more in through those muscles. If that is too much or it causes cramping, which it can, you can straighten that leg back out, and making sure that it's a little bit forward of that foot so you don't kick yourself for one thing, but then that actually really engages in through those hip adductor or inner thigh muscles, however you want to call them as well. So again, you can either alternate so that you're switching exercises one leg then the other, or doing them all on one side at a time. And usually these standing exercises are a little bit more challenging than some of the other ones, which is one of the reasons I put these last two. But please listen to your body. Do whichever exercises feel good for you, because they are all going to work here, here, and here, and here. So you're getting it all, and well done on starting it out today. Thank you so much for tuning in today, you guys. If you want to get rid of pain anywhere in your body on your own with just one little portable device, don't forget to check out the Derma Edge. I created this while I was going through Lyme disease to help get rid of my pain on my own, nice and gently. It's patented and made in the US, actually right down the road in Laconia from where my office is. So don't forget, you can click the link here or in the description to order your own.